In the past week or so, between the holiday cheers and the 2B hype in Grand Blue Fantasy versus, I've been seeing loads of heated arguments about neutral skipping. And usually, I don't participate in this discussion because it's馬鹿馬鹿しい. And no, I'm not translating that. But it's shown up in my timeline for the gosh darn nth time this year, and I've seen loads and loads of bad examples. And honestly, it's actually starting to irk me. So here I am making this video on the last weeks of 2023. Why am I doing this? I don't know. I guess I just want it out of my system. I don't know the origin of this term, but it's been used quite often since the launch of Street Fighter 6. I assume people got upset at things like raw drive rush and lunge moves that are plus on block. Understandable. But this time around, someone mentioned that older games have footsies. And oh boy did people start throwing out counterexamples en masse. People were saying things like Street Fighter 2 Claw skips neutral and Third Strike Makoto is worse. Now, I'm not in the older games have footsies camp, but these examples feel weak because it's cherry picking. Is Claw a problematic matchup for a lot of characters? Sure, I'm definitely not denying that. But do all characters play like Claw and do cue ball like mix-ups? No. Not really. And for Makoto, does her dash, Tsurugi, or Hayate skip neutral in every single matchup? Nope, she definitely has matches where she struggles. So the point I'm trying to make is, it's important to consider how often these strong options occur when playing a game. Is it just a few matchups? Or is it every single match and multiple times per round? Unless the frequency is similar, it's not fair to compare. With that said, it's more plausible to make this argument if it's tied to a game mechanic that is used quite often. So let's take a look at another tweet. I didn't get a screenshot of this one since the poster deleted it, but it was along the lines of, Under Night In-Breath Assault is a neutral skipping tool. For people not aware, Assault is a short hop-like dash that all characters can do. Once in the air, the player can do an aerial attack that is usually plus on block to continue their offense, just like a normal jump in. So for people who don't play Under Night, this move sounds pretty broken. I mean, a lot of us complain about Cammy's Cannon Strike in Street Fighter 6, and that move is mostly negative on block unless spaced really well. But the problem with this view is that this tweak was not taking into account of the environment the system mechanic is being used in. In Under Night, everyone, even the short-range characters, have some pretty beefy buttons. These are attacks you can never imagine in a Street Fighter game. Here's Merkava's standing B and standing C. Both are used in neutral quite often and catches assaulting opponents more often than it misses. Here's Nasa's standing B. Here's Wallsting's standing B. I could do this all night. And even if you play a character that doesn't have a poke that covers both ground and assault options, there is a universal mechanic called Shield that can make positive aerial attacks go negative. This is done by pressing D while blocking, so it's a lot easier than anti-airing with an attack. And since this move is quite telegraphed and has a fairly long startup, it's used more for crushing lows and throws. This is why if you see a match between experienced players, they will often opt to dash and block rather than assault. So this tweet shows that you shouldn't make an argument without considering the environment that the tool is being used in. It also probably helps if you're experienced in the game as well, because to most inexperienced players, any lunging move can be a neutral skipping tool. I too fondly remember the times where I used to think Soul's Fafnir in Guilty Gear Xrd was a cheap move. It's a lunging move that's +2 on block, keeps Soul in a strong range, combos on hit, etc, etc. But nowadays I simply instant block and try to take my turn. Or blitz, or interrupt if I'm feeling special. It's still a good move, but it's not something I consider as a neutral skipping tool anymore. Anyways, before you guys take me out of context as well, I'm not saying neutral skipping is bad. I'm also not saying older games have better footsies. I'm also not saying one game is dumbed down over the other because of this aspect. What I am saying though, is that the argument often turns out to become a bad one because there is just so many things to consider. And no one is ever going to put in the effort to make a good one, especially on a platform like Twitter. Heck, even in this video, I thought about discussing other aspects such as mechanical execution and reaction times, but went, no. That is opening way too many can of worms. So, what I am proposing is that you stay away from these tweets. Refrain from tainting the timeline of your fellow FGC folks. If you have a massive problem with the game, there are plenty of other choices nowadays. Grand Blue Fantasy Versus just released, and Tekken 8 and Under Night Ember 2 is coming. A whole bunch of older games have retroactively gotten rollback. Slam Show, King of Fighters 13, Capcom Fighting Collection, and a whole lot more. It is the golden age of fighting games. You have choices. So instead of participating in the discourse, go play the games you are happy with. A vote, like, and retweet the real content needed on these social media platforms. Alright, until next time, have fun with fighting games. Wait, you're a 3D gamer that doesn't like the new Tekken? And you think that Street Fighter 4 is the best 2D game? My condolences. You guys get a free pass to participate in the discourse, but don't abuse it though.